Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning, Kuntres HaTefila. We're going through it very nicely, and today we're going to get a little bit heavy, but I'm sure you'll understand what we're doing, and it won't be a big deal. So, basically, until now, yesterday's class, we talked about there's 5 preparations for davening. The first preparation is really setting yourself a healthy place that you can concentrate and you can relax and really be able to focus. And together with that, we talked about not walking around. Sometimes I think if you go to, let's say you look in 770 or, you see different shuls, people walk around. There's a quick story. There was a chassid, I think it was a Tzemach Tzedek, that also would walk around during davening. So Tzemach Tzedek said, he goes, I can see that you're not really going anywhere when you daven. So he said to him, why? So he said, because I always see walking back and forth. If you'd walk from one place to the other and you'd get somewhere else, so then I could see that you definitely had an effect. You got somewhere, but you were going back and forth, so you don't really get anywhere. But the idea is, he said, that people say that it helps them concentrate. He goes, but it doesn't really help you concentrate. And especially the concentration we're talking about, that you're connecting to what you're davening, to the words that you're saying, when you're connecting to what you're learning. And so that for that connection, you can't be walking around. And you think about it, anything you're thinking about deeply, you're distracted if you're walking around. You don't, when you think deeply, you don't move, you don't walk around, you stay in one spot. And then we said you should put on, then you like when you've cleared your mind and you've cleared your mind so you can get ready to daven, then you sit in one spot and you should think about Chassidus. Now, again, it's important to understand that if we don't have the time, I feel like it's important that we don't. This book is not like an all or nothing type of thing. But see what you can do. Could I add 5 minutes? Yeah, we're learning Chassidus in the morning. This could be the Chassidus you're learning. He's saying you should learn. He says over here, we'll start from there. Meditating on Chassidus while wearing talis and tefillin. After he has done his talis and tefillin, it is commendable for a person before prayer to reflect on a Chassidic concept for half an hour or more. So he's saying here you should spend half an hour or more thinking about Chassidus. Very interesting. He doesn't say learn a maimer. He says to reflect on a Chassidic concept. And he says this too should be carried out only while one is either standing or sitting in one single spot. In this way, a person will open his mind and heart and make them receptive. At times, it is also advisable to do so before the blessing of Yetzer. So he's saying essentially the reason why you're doing this, you're thinking about the Chassidus. Remember, so it's an idea that and you're thinking about it, and you're contemplating on it, and you're meditating on it. That will help open you up. That will help you open your mind to be able to really connect during the davening. And also he says, and also another time you could do it, like in addition, or it could be, either or, depending on your situation, is by Yetzer, which is in the blessings of Shema. That over there, before Shema, you could sit there and sort of, I think it's more of a refocus, but it could be if some of us, this is the focus. And then at that point, you sit and you think about an idea of Chassidus. You think, meaning it's not thinking about, again, which I just want to make this clear. It's not thinking about the concept just as itself, by itself, but this concept, how does that mean in my life? How am I living with that idea? So you take an idea that you know already, and you're saying to yourself, what does that mean to me? And how can I connect with that? And how can that help in my relationship, my connection to God and doing Torah mitzvahs? So that's the second thing, the meditation before davening, the learning through, not learning Chassidus, but reflecting on a Chassidic concept. And it doesn't have to be a whole maimer, it has to be just one concept, one idea. The third preparation, self-deprecation through bitterness. So just a heads up for this. In the end of it, he says that this is not every day. And I'll give it a little bit on the outside, and then we'll go on the inside. That basically, we have to recognize, and this in Chassidus talks about this very much, that we have to be honest with ourselves. And Chassidus demands emes. It says, Midas emes liYaakov. That the Alter Rebbe said this. I can't remember exactly now off the top of my head. It's in Hayom Yom. Basically, it says, and the Alter Rebbe said a maimer, I think it was a maimer, and he said Midas emes liYaakov, and that he demanded the midah of truth. And he said that if he wouldn't have said that, he would have gotten 50,000 more chassidim. Imagine that, 50,000. But he demanded emes. Demanding emes means a person has to be honest with themselves. And one of the challenges, you could say, of Chabad Chassidus is that Chassidus wants, they say the saying Chassidus mont pnimis. Chassidus wants us to be inner or real and not fake ourselves. And if we want to be successful in our lives of Chassidim, especially in the Chabad version, which is very much it's our own, that we own our Judaism. So in order for that to happen, we have to be honest with ourselves and recognize where we're holding, where we can improve. It's not to put ourselves down and make ourselves feel bad and make us sad and depressed. It's because we care about our lives and we care about the future of us in this world, and we care about what we're here for. And in order to do that the best way possible, we have to be honest. And we'll see. So with that preface, we'll see. Stultification through bitterness. The third step. Furthermore, a person must humble himself. As our sages state, a person should not commence his prayers except in a submissive frame of mind. So he's saying when you daven, you should be in submissive, this humble type of mind. This alludes to the quality of humbleness and lowliness that are fostered by somber introspection. To carefully review all aspects of one's past thoughts, speech, and deeds, identifying those that have not been directed to God. So we have to, every so often, recognize and ask and pay attention and see where we're holding and see where we can improve. What are things that we're doing that's totally not connected to God and connected to the mission and why we're here, or connected to serving a better purpose. These distance him utterly from godliness and certainly prevent him from receiving God's light and holiness. If you're not doing it, it's not just I'm not doing what I should be doing, but it's separating me from God. It's like I'm trying to be healthy and in shape, and I'm eating junk food and and ice cream and things like this. It's not just I'm not doing the right thing, but it's not making me just not healthy. It's making me unhealthy. And so too, we have it's a deep realization that when I'm not doing the right things, I'm giving in to my Yetzer Hara. It's not just I'm giving in, but it's taking me away from my connection to God. And then we come and we wonder, why do we not feel excited to daven and learn? And why is it so hard? And so some people, they think, oh, it's all for me, and I need to go and fulfill my needs and make myself feel good. And you don't realize that's not the problem. The problem is you don't realize that every time you do something that's not connected to God, you're losing the connection, you're losing that relationship, and you're losing that feeling. So when we start to go the opposite way, in a positive way, we recognize that all those things are taking us away from godliness. So first of all, the recognition is already the start. But then we start to try to ask ourselves before we do things, is this helping my connection? Is this helping me be connected to my godliness and to God or not? And if it isn't, then let me try not do it, and you'll see that the connection will build and start getting better. Just as the home of a king must be cleansed of filth and dirt, if not, it is unfit to be his residence. Likewise, each person must be a vessel and an abode for God's light and holiness. Just like you want to have a king in your house, king come over, you have to make sure the house is clean. You have to realize that if I'm just eating and leaving my food on the floor and things like this, that's not just I'm not cleaning the house, I'm making the house dirtier. And so too with us, when we're not doing what we're meant to be doing, we're not inviting the king. We're not in a place that the king can come. Accordingly, on the verse, and you shall make construction for me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell within them. A sage's comment, the passage does not say in it, but in them. Also, make for me a sanctuary, and shall dwell within them. Why does it say within them? We all know this already, implying that God will dwell in each and every person. Hashem wants to come and dwell within us. Hashem wants to be connected with us. He wants to shine his light on us. But it only works, and we only feel this if we're clean, so to speak, and giving in to every desire that we have. We're not thinking about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and not paying attention to these little subtle things, and really not paying attention to us and not realizing how important the actions that we have makes us not clean enough that we can get the light of God. And the cleaner we are, the more light can come in. Therefore, a person must be cleansed and purified of all dirt and evil filth. then he can be a suitable vessel for the godly light, which is not the case if he has not been so cleansed. For then not only is the essence and substance of his animal soul as forcible as ever, not having been displaced yet in the least, but moreover, the animal soul controls and dominates his body by clothing itself in the three garments of thought, speech, and deed. Meaning, if you're not cleansing yourself, you're not cleaning yourself, you're just getting dirty, and the animal soul is taking full charge of you, and he's making the decisions, and his decisions aren't based off what's beneficial for your godly soul and beneficial for your connection to God. So you're just going the wrong direction. It's not, you're trying to be healthy, and the animal soul is telling you to come eat ice cream for breakfast, and you're wondering, and it's not working. It's not going to work that way. In thought, by lasting after pleasures and thinking about them, an animal soul is in your thoughts, thinking about things, desires, and pleasures, and thinking about how to achieve them. In speech, by speaking about his heart's passions and lusts, not just you think about things, but you talk about it. Oh, I really want this. I really want these things that are not beneficial for you in any way, whether it's staying up late, eating what you shouldn't be eating, talking what you shouldn't be talking, self-talk that you shouldn't be talking, wanting to go out, do all the things that aren't really productive for you and for your goals in life. Or by scoffing and frivolity, when your speech and you're making jokes, but not just positive ones, but like negative ones, and making fun of people, things like this. Similarly, indeed, by actually fulfilling his heart's passions and cravings, even in permissible matters, when intended to gratify the lust of his soul, even if it's talking about something that's kosher, but the only reason why you're doing it is to satisfy, make yourself feel good, enjoy it, just to enjoy the food for the food's sake. There's no other purpose. There's no like higher reasoning for what you're doing. You're eating just because it tastes good. I don't care about God. I just want it to taste good. And we got to start realize that, why am I eating this? Is this beneficial for me? Is this going to help me in my day? Is this going to help me connect to God more, have more God in my life? So then, if not, then why am I doing this? Is this good for me? Or in permissible matters with Adam, when utterly unnecessary, but indulge in them for his enjoyment and pleasure, to relish more the delights. Yeah, you're just doing it just for the good taste, just for the enjoyment that I get from it, not the spiritual enjoyment, just the physical enjoyment. Or by actually becoming enraged, or when you get angry, which also constitutes a deed, and all the more so if he acts on the impetus of his rage and anger, and even more so if you act out of rage, it's not good at all. You're taking yourself away from God. Through all this, a person verily dirties and soils himself. And we've got to realize when we're doing this, we're making ourselves dirty. And this is a very interesting perspective of how to look at it. I used to think about it like, let's do what you want and do what you should. But he's saying, clean yourself up or make yourself dirty. You look at a cheese, at a rugelach in the morning, and you can say to yourself, oh, I really want it, but I learned in the moment I shouldn't have it. Why? Because I have no intended purpose for it. Why am I eating this? So I asked myself, why am I eating this? So I used to say, you could do the right thing, do what you want, do the right thing. But he's saying, if I'm eating this and there's no real good reason for me to have this, besides it just tastes good and it's going to make me, if anything, make me not feel great after. So why am I eating this? When I'm eating this, it's going to make me dirty. Do I want to be dirty or clean? I just had a shower. I want to be clean. Through all this, a person very dirty and serves himself, rendering himself wholly unfit to be a dwelling place and an abode for God's light, as in truth he ought to be, with a light of dwelling inwardness within him. So when we start to see this way and we start to say to ourselves, I'm going to choose to make myself clean and do things in my life that is going to benefit me, not me in the immediate, not me, my animal soul, but me, my godly soul, my connection with God. And let me try to implement that a little bit. On the contrary, he becomes a vehicle for the forces of impurity. Though he studies Torah prodigiously, its light doesn't illuminate inwardly with light within him. Just the opposite. It is instead of exile and captivity, like his godly soul, which is exiled and held captive by the animal soul. And therefore, if you're not doing it, even when you learn Torah and you do mitzvahs, it doesn't help. It doesn't help the situation. And you just feel the lack of godliness in your life. You don't understand, and you think, I don't know what's going on. I'm learning, but it's not enough just to learn. It's also everything else that comes around with it. From every quarter, the animal soul encompasses and conceals the godly light. As it says, the wicked man encircles the righteous. That the godly soul is being encircled by the nefesh Bahamas. In other words, the intensification of the animal soul's lust with all the animal soul's soiled garments envelop the godly soul, concealing concealing and hiding it. Insofar as the godly soul is unable to escape from captivity and pray to God with das and meditation, or the more so with innerness of the heart that transcends das and meditation. And therefore, if your whole day is just about filling your desires and not thinking about God or your godliness within you, so it's going to be totally consumed. So then you're going to have a very hard time davening. And you can say, davening is not working, it doesn't work. I can't daven, I can't do these things. It's not that you can't do these things. You're going to realize that I'm doing other things that are making me dirty or making me not clear to get it. Not that I'm a bad person. It's, again, he doesn't say you're a bad person. You just got to realize the results of your actions. We want to be healthy, but we also want to eat junk food and not do exercise. And this is sort of the challenge that we're having. We want to be healthy. I want to feel good. We want to have a good, healthy lifestyle, but we also want to eat junk food and don't do any exercise and don't go out and do, the hour walk we should be doing. So so what he's saying is we got to spend some time recognizing this, because if you don't recognize it, you're going to keep on wondering, why am I not healthier? Why am I not losing any weight? It's because we're not paying attention that I'm eating junk food all day. And it's like, I don't realize this. And so that's what he's saying. You have to spend some time realizing. So where am I holding? Am I in my life all going in one direction, or am I going in 5 different directions? And if I am, so then the results is not going to be what I want. It's the time. Oh, exactly. We'll stop here on 108. Continues going, and tomorrow he'll explain how, of course, don't do this every day. You don't walk around doing this. It's going to be very intense on you. But once in a while, you got to sit down and ask yourself these questions. It's not to make you feel bad or make yourself depressed in any way, just to make you recognize where you're holding and to be making honest accounting so you can figure out in what direction. I have a friend that he's a life coach, and I asked him, what do you do as a life coach? And he said, I take a beam and I make it turn it into a laser. Meaning you have ideas, but they're very broad. And his job is to help you figure out how to really hone in on exactly what it's meant, what it is, and what do you want to be doing, what should you be doing now. And I think essentially this is what he's saying, that you want to be davening, you want to be connected to God, but you have to every so often realize that I want to be going this direction, but am I going that direction? And you look around and what you're doing throughout your day, and you say, oh wow, I'm actually not going that direction. So what's on something that I could do? You don't take on the whole world, but what's one thing I can do this month a little bit different? Try to work on it so I'll be a little more in line where I'm meant to be going. And that's what he's saying. And that will help. I'll help you be more of a clear, more open, more of a receptacle to be able to daven better and have your Judaism better, ultimately. Have a great day.